Hello, my friends. Welcome or welcome back. I am your local art witch, and today I wanted to show you this little crochet kit that my husband got me for Halloween, and where Halloween will be this Friday, and things have been super crazy. I wanted to show you this little crochet kit. Making dolls is a pretty major way that I practice my craft. I get into kind of a meditative state while I'm doing it. So where I like to make poppets, and I am planning a series on poppets in general. I wanted to go through this kit with you. These kits can be really hit or miss. This one is from Michaels. I'm hopeful. So I've worked with very similar yarn before. What I like about making dolls, especially in the way that I make them, is that every stitch can have my intention. I don't feel it is as necessary to have crystals, herbs, that type of stuff inside of the doll, because every single stitch, you're building the fabric as you go. And with crochet, you can crochet it in such a way that it is nice and dense. I did have to take more breaks than normal. This project was hurting my hands. This yarn is not as silky. There's a lot more friction. I wanted to use only what came in the kit. I only wanted to do what the instructions said, even though as I was reading the instructions, I was like, oh no. Now, to be fair, these instructions were a lot better than instructions on other kits I've seen, and I'll show you why I didn't super enjoy these ones. When you're crocheting in a spiral, it can make you just can. It's a continuous spiral, but this one wanted a slip stitch, chain one, and then to continue crocheting. And it made this swivel pattern that I did try to sort of hide more on the back side of this doll I was making. I am surprised. I use a different stitch when I'm making amigurumi. So instead of yarning over, you yarn under. It makes this really neat X pattern. And then instead of more of a swivel appearance, you'll get a doll that looks more almost pixelated. And I really like that because it looks nice and tidy. More importantly, when you go to put on the eyes, attach the arms, maybe it's way more symmetrical than it would be. It also is a tighter, denser stitch, which prevents some gapping, some stuffing showing through. So I really like it. However, I am pleasantly surprised that overall, the way this yarn was working, there isn't too much of that. There's also a different type of way to decrease your stitches, an invisible decrease when you're making these dolls. And that's not what it was recommended. It wanted a standard single crochet decrease. And then that is where you see some gapping on this doll. And there were times that I cheated a little bit and used the invisible decrease as opposed to the one that they wanted me to use, because I couldn't stretch the yarn over to the next stitch without an even bigger gap. We do need to talk about the darning needle that came in this kit. It's a little plastic darning needle, and when it originally came, it had this little plastic ball on the end as if it was sharp. I had to cut that off. I just thought it was a weird, odd choice. It's super flexible. I can see it being useful in different situations, but for a project like this, there's absolutely no way. When I began to sew the doll together, it was so bendy. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be an entire problem. And I'm only using the items from the kit except for the scissors because there were no scissors. Somebody was looking after me. I misplaced the darning needle, which I'm very prone to doing. And so I used one of my steel needles that was much better. I could actually get through the stitches. I didn't have to worry about my needle breaking. I do work quite densely, quite tightly. I have bent needles before, so maybe I need to relax a little bit. But even for this, I need it to be a stronger needle to get from the base of the head to where the neck would be. The other thing I noticed is, like, I kept checking, but and maybe it's for the arms, it does not tell you how to assemble it. It's pretty common sense. You put the arms on this round and then you put the head on and whatever. But when I was going to put the arms on, I wasn't sure if they wanted me to sew the opening close of the tops of the arms first. So I just sewed it. I just did a little whip stitch. He's not terrible. He's not my proudest creation. I think for a first project, maybe it wouldn't be too terrible, but I know I can do better. And once again, you can see this swivel situation. I was marking my stitches like I always do, and because you slip stitch, and I missed the part of the instructions that you work your first stitch into that same stitch, and I was constantly losing track of how many stitches were in my round. That would be my biggest complaint. When you just work the general continuous rounds that I'm used to, I don't lose track like that. Like, yes, I still need to use stitch markers, but sometimes I can get away without using a stitch marker until I'm quite a ways in, right? For a person who's beginning, a person who's just learning, there are instructions on how to make each stitch, which is nice. There's pictures. Most crochet things that you'll come across, I have found personally that it will almost always come with these instructions. I do like these kits in that if you're thinking about it, but you don't want to spend a ton of money trying out a hobby that you may not enjoy, I can see the value in that. But like I said, the instructions aren't as terrible. This is a much better kit than something you would get at a dollar store. I have never tried a Woobles kit while I'm interested to see how they are. I've never tried one myself. I hear a lot of good about them, but I also have heard that they can be expensive. So my general advice would be to, if there's a specific crochet item or you see something and you're like, wow, I love that. I would love to make it myself. Not just I want to buy that, but I would love to make this specific item. I would go find the instructions to that and make that item because you'd be so excited for the final project that it's kind of worth it. And it's okay, more than okay. It is normal. It is good. It's fine that your first project looks like it's had better days. My first projects were not fantastic. I got into crochet about 13 years ago. I was pregnant. I wanted to make a blanket for the child that I was expecting, and it was really important to me that I actually made it myself. I wanted him to have something from his mom that she made. And so on this website right here, I found this little blanket. It's a 5-pointed star. I thought that was great. I thought it was so cute. And I spent my entire pregnancy learning. It was difficult. I am left-handed. I was learning in real life from somebody who was right-handed. And so I crochet like a right-handed person now because I could not flip it in my brain. I had to copy exactly what she was doing. It is so much more accessible now. There are so many crochet channels here on YouTube, on Instagram. I'm finding little hints and tips to make my crochet even better. So this is the little ghost. He is cute. He's all right. I know I've lost track of the stitches. I would count every single round. It was so difficult. I did try showing the stitches I was making. The yarn is so white that it is quite difficult to see. I did have to stop because my hands were hurting. So I ended up moving into the living room, and that's why the background has changed. Next week, I would like to walk through my newest book of shadows with y'all. She isn't like finished, but she's getting there. I'm super excited to share more of my actual craft, how I do the things that I do, and I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you so much. I've been your local art witch, and I'll see you all again next time. Take care now. Bye-bye.